What doctor was she seeing? Welcome to Ranger Reviews, a web series we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the 17th episode of the show Power Rangers Turbo, as well as the 222nd episode overall, titled Honey, I Shrunk the Rangers Part 2. We start this episode on the ship, and Detox still has the Rangers kidnapped. She exposits about how she's going to kill them, replacing the lid on the box. The Rangers turn on their headlights, and Elgar picks up the box, shaking them all about. Then he puts them on a bench. The Rangers have no idea what they're going to do, and then they all realize that they have wings on their back. They surmise that they must be being turned into insects. Tommy then tells them to split up to find an escape route. Dude, this is like a 4x4 box. Adam just tears a corner open for them to escape, and they see Divatox outside celebrating. The Rangers then start to sneak out one by one from the box, and can I just say, this is actually very well done. Then the Rangers start to climb down some pearls, and Divatox and gang see them escaping, and the pearl necklace snaps. The Rangers begin falling through the air in slow motion. The Rangers land hard on the floor with the giant pearls with them. Porto then falls into Elgar, knocking him over, which gives the Rangers a chance to just get out of his grasp as the Rangers disappear into a crevice. Elgar moves things, chasing after them as they get behind a control panel. Elgar then reaches behind the panel with his hand, and Tommy kicks his hand away. Okay, that was super lame, but even lamer because it was Tommy. Divatox moves Elgar out of the way, and she looks at the Rangers via a gate, and then she uses her tongue as a weapon, licking the Rangers. She then calls them the Mighty Morsel Power Rangers before she gets her tongue around Tanya, trying to eat her, and the Rangers hold on to her as Tommy fires at the tongue with his auto blaster. This makes Divatox recoil quickly, sucking back in her tongue, and it's burnt, so Elgar splashes her with water. Pissed off, she tells Rygog to do something. Kat then realizes that there are pipes near them, so they start firing at them with their auto blasters as Rygog is using his strength to remove the control panel out of the way. Just as he gets it down, the Rangers get a hole into the pipe, and all jumping in one after another. The Rangers slide down in the pipe for a little bit before we see that Divatox tells the others to get down there and bring them to her, but she now has a severe lisp from her tongue getting hurt. She then calls out the Pirantrons and shrink a sect. She tells them to shrink the Pirantrons down to the size of the Rangers, which he does, and then she sends them down the pipe to follow the Rangers. That's actually like a pretty good idea. The Pirantrons follow the Rangers down the pipe, who have come out on the other side in another room. They run away just as the Pirantrons are coming out of the pipe too. The Rangers turn around seeing them and they start fighting off the Pirantrons in this really awesome set. Also, there's a Pirantron song that plays in the background that really sucks, just insulting the Pirantrons for being alive essentially. Then the Pirantrons retreat. In the power chamber, a tiny blue Centurion is just saying random things, and Justin and Alpha ask him as to what the hell happened to him. Justin tries to call the others, but nothing. Meanwhile, Divatox is still pissed that no one has been able to find the Rangers. The Rangers are walking and they find a vent and they have no choice but to enter it. Meanwhile, Stone is parked at a beach complaining about the monkeys to the monkeys. That's rude. He wants them to act like monkeys, and Bulk and Skull realize that this is their opportunity to get out and collect more trash. They even take the soda can bomb from last episode, and they put it in the bag, leaving. In the vent, which is like wet and gross by the way, the Rangers realize that they now have antenna, so they need to hurry up. They then see a path with light, and they need to get across a little thing of water, but then Divatox's giant pet eel that we haven't seen since the movie is there, coming toward them. Then another one is coming from the other direction, trapping them. Luckily, they see a little alcove hiding in there. They're safe for now. Later, they're still running and Tanya freaks out because now they have pincers for hands. They go through some bars, walking into a place full of fabric, and they're confused. Then they hear Divatox screaming, and she opens the door to this room, and she complains that Elgar has been keeping his junk in her closet. And they realize where they are. Elgar's junk is a tiny toy car, by the way. Then Divatox hits a damn contact out of her eye and the Rangers grab it, hiding it. The Rangers then climb aboard the toy car, somehow driving it out of the closet, getting away. Divatox realizes immediately what's happening and she screams at Elgar, Rygog, and Porto to stop that damn car, but there's no use. Then Tommy crashes the damn car, ejecting them out of it. Way to go, Tommy! They realize that they're in the torpedo room and Tommy has an idea. If the torpedoes make monsters big, they should just make them normal again. What if they're just giant? They find the launch key and they just need to pull the string attached to it, which they finally do, getting the torpedoes ready to launch. They climb aboard the torpedoes, holding out for them to fire off. They get fired out of the ship, going through the sky, and the Rangers are holding on, but Adam almost flies away, but thankfully Tanya gets him. Then Tommy calls Justin and somehow now it works, and Tommy explains what's happening. Justin says that if it works for the Rangers, it should work for the Blue Centurion too. I mean, there's no proof that this is going to work yet. Alpha says that they're going toward the beach. Also, by the way, there's a detonator there too. Oh yeah. Shift in the turbo. The monkeys are collecting the trash on the beach and we're reminded that they have the detonator. Then Divatox asks why the torpedoes were just launched and she checks out of the periscope, seeing Justin, somehow not from the water end of the beach. Whatever, she decides to send Shrink a Sec to finish his job. Justin puts down the Blue Centurion and here come the torpedoes, which land on the beach exploding. The Rangers and the Blue Centurion are now normal size again. Bulk and Skull are there too. Then a giant Shrink a Sec shows up, so the Rangers call up their Turbozords, forming the Turbo Megazord. Shrinkasek immediately wraps them up in a net just as he gets the upper hand. Here comes the Blue Centurion Robo Racer converting into battle mode. He cuts the Rangers free with a giant arm blade, and then he uses his shield to block some shots from Shrinkasek before blowing him up with their gun. Elgar laments that Shrinkasek is dead, but Divatox points out that they still have a detonator. Bulk and Skull then decide that since this is over, they should go over to the smoke from the torpedo, and they drop the soda can bomb. Justin shows up, grabbing it and tossing it into the air, letting it explode that way. Then Justin turns around, the monkeys are gone, and Justin assumes they went home. Justin, you're an idiot. Then Bulk and Skull realize that they can feel their heads and body parts again, and they realize that they're actually human again, but they're invisible. Side effect of the torpedo smoke, apparently. The end. No matter what I can say to critique this episode, I love it, because there was true and tried effort put into this episode. I mean, did you guys see those sets for when the Rangers were tiny? God damn, it was cool. I could have done without the whole, we're turning into bugs thing, because, well, who cares? It's not like we needed to amp up the stakes here. Them being tiny and stuck in Divatox's ship is like stakes enough. Also, I feel like the Blue Centurion was a bit of an afterthought in this episode as well as Justin, but like, all as well as fine. But guess what? No more monkeys. Hallelujah. Of course, now they're invisible, but we'll get to a place of normalcy sooner than later, hopefully. Other than that, I just really like this episode. So next time we begin another two-parter that will change literally everything. But until then, may the power protect you.